great to be here for Children First. I'm doing this interview now from St. Louis Park Public Library because I'm back in St. Louis Park actually researching a new book that I'm writing. And the reason St. Louis Park is involved is it's a book that deals in part with how to write a column. I'm a columnist for the New York Times, and I think a column is always an act of chemistry, and you really have to mix three compounds. One is your value set. How do you lean into the world? What do you believe is important? Are you a liberal, a conservative, a Democrat, a Republican, a Keynesian, or a Marxist? The second is how you think the world works. I call that the machine. What do you think are the biggest forces shaping more things in more places, in more ways, on more days? You need to have a theory of that, because as a columnist, what you're always trying to do is take your value set and push the machine. And if you don't know how it works, you'll push it in the wrong direction, or you won't push it at all. And lastly, what have you learned about people and culture, how this machine affects people and culture, and how people and culture affect the machine? Well, I'm here because my value set didn't come from any of the books in this library. It didn't come from any philosopher. It actually came from the time and the place where I grew up, and that is St. Louis Park. I always tell people I grew up somewhere over the rainbow. I grew up in a real community that actually did put, even in my day before there was Children First, really did put children first. Where to this day, the vast majority of people who live in this suburb don't have kids in the public school, but continue year in and year out, decade after decade, to pass tax increases to support and enrich and strengthen those public schools. And so I am the kind of congenital moderate that I am, and centrist, because I grew up in a time and in a place and in a community where politics worked, where that community and those public schools were an engine of trust, an engine really to produce the kind of pluralism and a sense of inclusion and a sense of trust between government and governed, that has allowed, I think, this community to flourish and to really spin off into the world a lot of people, men and women, young men and women, who actually believed that the world was a welcoming place, and that dreams could come true, and that if you did strive for things, you could actually achieve them. And that's what I think my generation of St. Louis Parkites, whether you're talking about the Coen brothers or myself or Al Franken or Norm Ornstein or Michael Sandel or Peggy Ornstein or Dan Wilson, for all of us, I think in many ways St. Louis Park was both our anchor and our sail. It was the thing that anchored us in the world. I grew up in a set of concentric communities here that in every way in my day put children first, whether it was the school system, my own faith community, my own family community, or Minnesota in general. And what that did, I think, was instill in all of us both a sense of home. It's a lot easier to leave home when you know there's a home to go back to, where you're anchored in the world. And also a real sense of possibility, that you could make a difference and you should make a difference. So my book really has kind of a theme song. I'm actually hoping I can buy it, so you open the book and it plays the song like a Hallmark birthday card. And the song is called, it's by Brandi Carlile. She's a country folk singer I really like. And her song is called I, E-Y-E. And the main refrain from the song is, "You can dance in a hurricane as long as you're standing in the eye." So I graduated from Park High in 1971. I went out into the world, Beirut and Jerusalem and the State Department and the White House, globalization, and I had to dance in a lot of hurricanes, and we all do now. And you can dance in a hurricane as long as you're standing in the eye. And St. Louis Park, for me, because it was a place that in my day and to this day put children first, is the eye of the hurricane. It draws energy from the hurricane, it moves with the hurricane, but it believes ultimately that you really need to construct that eye that can move with the world and at the same time anchor you. So thank you for all that you're doing. I can't think of a more important project than Children First right now. And I hope that you will all together make St. Louis Park what it was for me, my anchor and my sail. Thank you very much.